Welcome to the Tadier podcast. This episode, I want to go over the following. What happens when you show up even when it's quiet? I feel like we've all had those times where maybe no one was watching or we felt uninspired doing normal day-to-day things. And I know I've definitely had that. And there's kind of like a story which I have that I can kind of explain to you in a moment. But I feel like in our society, we're kind of like made to think that we should have something huge and inspiring, or it has to be epic to even start something. But I've been kind of noticing something else, that the small, quiet choices that no one sees are probably the most important ones we can kind of put weight in, because these are like the choices that define you. These are the choices that create you into the person which you are today. And so I think it's really quite interesting to kind of go over this kind of thought process and see what we can kind of pull together and see if maybe I can open your mind to think more in this way, or maybe you can make me think differently about how it is. So I just kind of want to start with like a little story. And basically, the other day after work, I work in like an office complex, and I was basically feeling unmotivated at the end of the day. I was feeling tired. I was feeling like I just kind of wanted to go home and lay on the sofa or something like that, as we kind of all do, if that makes sense. And instead, like when I was walking past the gym, I was like, oh no, I can't, because it's on my way home. But I was like kind of confronted with the like, shall you do it or shan't you do it? And I kept on walking past, and I got about 50 meters past the front door. And then in my head, I was like, it said to me, and I was like, you should just go. You should just kind of go there and see what happens. Go to the gym and just stretch or something like that. Or if you're feeling tired, because that's totally okay to feel tired, maybe just go there and do a light bit of exercise just to keep my kind of my motivation and my consistency. And so I turned around and I went to the gym and I did some really light stretching. I did a bit of a run. I did a light bit of weights, I was done within 20 minutes. And after, I just felt like not like grounded, like not like proud or like accomplished, but I felt like some trust within myself. And I was thinking kind of like that I had kept like a promise to myself, and that felt like amazing. And it kind of made me think about this topic a little bit more and in a deeper kind of way. It just kind of like did something for me. And I think it showed me that like we don't have to abide by what we feel in that moment, because even just going for a little bit, and yes, like I didn't go and do like a super intense workout, but I went and I stayed consistent and I kept the promise to myself, and which is definitely something in itself. And I think as humans, we have to like adapt in terms of we have to, if we are really tired, yes, you can listen to that tiredness. And if you're truly exhausted, take a day off. But sometimes, well, a lot of the time we're not. It doesn't feel big enough. You don't have that massive bit of motivation to go. So I think kind of taking small steps, even when we're like that, is a positive thing. And it wasn't like about the fitness at all. It was more about the trust that it kind of like built into myself. It's like showing up when no one is watching, which I think for a lot of us is most of the time. Like that's 90% of the time, is that no one is there to watch and no one is judging us. And sometimes during those times, that's why we slack off. That's why a lot of individuals, including myself, if I had a personal trainer, we're probably working out harder because they're keeping us accountable. They're there, you're worried about them judging you. You're worried about disappointing that individual. But what if we put that level of kind of like trust in ourselves, not with guilt, but just with, I want to help my future self, if that makes sense. It's kind of like we have to think about these things because that could happen in so many different ways. Like you could be someone that, and you've signed up for a marathon and kind of turning up every day. During that marathon, you're not always going to be 100% motivated. To be honest, after the first few weeks or first month of training, you're probably going to be so exhausted, but it's kind of pushing yourself through that training and holding that trust for yourself that you can do this, that really gives you the inspiration. And that's the main probably part that you take away from that marathon training, is that you can do it. You can achieve what you want to do if you take these tiny steps in between. You can trust yourself and you can know, yes, not every step has to be huge. Not everything that you do has to be insanely massive. Like you can take tiny steps, and that stretching, yes, it might not sound like it helps, but if I've gone to the gym previously before that and I've done a really kind of like difficult workout, and now I'm super achy and my body is exhausted, and instead I took a different path. I went straight home. And then I sat on a sofa, laid on a sofa, I seized up more. I gave my body time to recover, but it wasn't active recovery. Where instead, I went to the gym and I did that active recovery. I stretched my muscles. I gave my muscle a workout, but without pushing it harder than it needed to go. It was more like giving yourself active recovery. And that can kind of be put into many different kind of areas of your life, because if you're creating a business, every moment of the day you're not going to be fully focused and you're not going to be fully motivated, and also you're not going to be doing huge steps every single day. Like you have to do tiny little things that maybe you don't like in between it. And I guess that is where this part comes in. So I feel like we need to kind of deconstruct this kind of belief, because I feel like there is like a myth that we kind of like tend to wait until things feel completely right, and for that like wave and inspiration, or like for perfect timing, or for like a clear sign. And a lot of the time it never comes. Like we assume, even if it never comes, we assume it's not worthy, or that it's not truly what you want. But a lot of the time, the things that are small will help you grow more than like giant things. So yes, sometimes we have giant, huge leaps, but really most of the time it's tiny, small steps. And that's kind of what we have to switch our mindset on, is that it's a lot of the time it's not those huge steps. It's like real progress often starts quietly. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about, is that the shift kind of like happens when you stop waiting to feel ready. You say, like, how can I move? What can I do, even if it's tiny today, to help push me forward? Because I know we've all been there, like when there's been times that maybe we didn't feel fully like kind of motivated to do that, or do anything to push our dreams further, but then we do it and we're like, oh my God, so I didn't need that giant kind of part of motivation to get me through. Instead, I can do tiny steps that will kind of help my future self. And I guess like the best kind of like metaphor that I can kind of bring together is, it's kind of like brushing your teeth. And I don't think any of us truly need to feel inspired to brush our teeth. It's kind of just like we're helping our future selves, and it's like a kind of keeping your foundation solid. So what if we thought about our dreams in that, or our things that we're wanting to achieve? Maybe we have a business. Maybe we're just wanting to get fit for our future selves. Maybe we got a holiday coming up. What if we look at our health, our progress, our businesses in a different way and think of the small stuff as the foundation, the tiny little steps that you can bring together to build yourself up. And then, yes, between there, you'll have these massive sprouts of like inspiration, which wouldn't have happened without the tiny steps of like mediocre things, which don't truly feel exciting at the time, but they're just as kind of useful. And I think if you think of anyone you kind of admire, like an athlete, a creator, an entrepreneur, they've probably always like built with like these tiny little steps that weren't like highlight reels or anything exciting. I know what they've probably shown to you is an exciting thing, but behind closed doors, they would have done a lot of things that probably you wouldn't want to do, or a lot of boring steps that maybe you don't find interesting. And that's really kind of where we have to take ourselves back and look at the truth and the reality and think, oh, wait, a lot of time when it looks so glamorous, they're probably behind that glamorousness. There's more raw, like ugly, like boredom, like nothing that really seems amazing, but they will fight through that to get to the good stuff. And that's kind of just how I wanted to kind of put over to you, because I know we all kind of watch creators, we all have people we admire, and we kind of like put them on a pedestal and we're like, how did they get to that? That seems insane. But then when you like read their book, or you kind of look at each step they've taken, you realize that they've just taken these tiny little steps that have just kind of made them become the person that you admire now. And I think that's how we have to look at it. So I feel like a new thought process to look at this would be, you're kind of like voting for who you're becoming. So do you have like an image in your mind of the person you want to become? And if so, you kind of like need to put yourselves in their shoes and think, if I want to become like that person, or I'm wanting to gain certain attributes, or I'm wanting to get healthier, then I need to take those small kind of little steps, those small moments when you show up, because those are those times where you don't feel like it are truly the ones that are the most the most important. You're kind of like, you have to have that consistency. You have to, because if we're just waiting for those bursts of inspiration, you're never going to truly, you're going to have that every once in a while. There has to be some little fillers in between just to get you through. But I think also one of the main traps for this, because even when saying it out loud to myself, it can get to a point where maybe you think, okay, well, I'll just open my laptop, or I'll just go to the gym. But then you've gone to the gym and you're just scrolling on your phone, or you've opened that laptop and you're not doing any work, but you're kind of hiding and like avoiding the guilt by pretending you're working, or pretending that you're doing the thing that you should be doing. And I think that's also a trap that we can easily kind of fall into. I think if we're going to obviously change our patterns, and we're going to change kind of the actions that we take on a daily basis, whether that be we've previously not like each week we say we're going to a gym, or we've gone to a gym for one day and then we skip the other days. If we're going to actually change our pattern, then when we go, we need to be precise and conscious. And that doesn't mean that you have to do 1,000 reps or you have to go crazy and like really hurt yourself. It means, am I going in there with intention? Am I doing something to better myself? Because that's where we can go wrong. We can think, okay, me just having consistency is okay. But if that consistency is hollow, then you may as well have just not gone. And that's when, I'm not against people skipping days if they truly are exhausted, or they have life, or they have certain things in their life going on, or they just want to spend time with their partner. If you're okay with that, and you've had intention about that, then what's the problem? There's no problem there. But the key is to have that kind of presence and to truly be there in the moment. And because if you do that and you're fully like aware of how you're being in that moment and having that presence, then you're going to do a much better job, whether that's a less of a time because you're exhausted, or maybe you switch what you're doing to something different that day, but it's still like helping you and it's still progressing your health. And I'm kind of using the gym as like an idea because I think it's something we can all kind of relate to, because I've definitely in the past, I've had difficulty with being super consistent with the gym. And I would be like an all or nothing kind of guy. Like it's if I didn't, if I missed one day, that would be me kind of like gone. And it wasn't like a good kind of like way to go. And so I just have that in mind. And I do have some kind of like things that I do now to help myself through that. But yeah, I kind of use the gym because I know it is like kind of a universal struggle, but also something that we should all probably be doing, and something that we probably, a lot of us are doing. So I think it's kind of a good thing to focus on. But consistency only works if you actually show up and be present in the room too. Because if you're just there and you've turned up, but you're not present in that moment, or your mind is somewhere else, or you're not even really doing anything, then you're wasting your own time. And that's also killing the trust that you have with yourself. And like for me, I would 100% rather quiet consistency over like loud outbursts. And what I mean by that is that when I was younger, like I would get bursts of feeling like so kind of inspired. And then I would do the thing for like a few weeks, a few months, and then it would be gone. And because that excitement kind of leaves. And as soon as that thing leaves, you realize that, okay, and it was just the excitement that was pushing me along, and you need something else to take that place. And that's when you've got to trust yourself. You've got to have that perseverance, and you've got to kind of make it a consistent thing where it just becomes habits. And because once you've got as a habit and you truly trust yourself, that's when it just becomes second nature. And that's with most things. Like that's honestly with like most areas in life, is if you show up when it's quiet and you put in the work, then it's going to be so easy on the days that you truly like do feel motivated. You're going to be like ready to kind of like push through. But yeah, that's kind of just some backstory and how I think about this kind of topic. But I also have like a bit of a framework. And what I mean by a framework is like things that can help you, things that can kind of, in the moment, if you next deal with this, maybe you're the individual that's walking past the gym at the end of the day. You've just finished being in like a big corporate building or like an office, and you're taking a walk kind of past this gym at the end of the day, just like I was, and you're there like questioning in your mind, should I go in? These are the things that I want you to kind of think about. And maybe question and ask yourself, even just write them down, put them on your phone, and next time that happens, just go to it. And so I'm going to kind of give you a few. We're kind of going to have a talk about them, speak deeper about these kind of topics, and hopefully just help you. Because I know for me, and having something like this would have helped me so much, like so much at that age. I didn't really have that guidance or someone to ask, and that's where I'm going to come in and help you. The number one thing that I can give you, number one piece of advice, is don't wait to feel like it. Like, I know that sounds so simple, but please do not wait. Like, if you're like, okay, I'm going to wait till I feel like I'm like in the right mood to go to the gym. But you don't have to wait for that inspiration. You truly don't. If you go, that inspiration can come after that. That motivation can come after that. And maybe what one of the questions that you can ask yourself about this is, what is the smallest version I can do right now? And at the beginning, if you're just getting into fitness, this might be tiny for you, but this might be huge for you. Could be tiny for someone else. So you have to truly kind of be true to yourself and think, okay, I'm going to go into the gym. I'm going to do some like 10 minutes on a running machine. I'm going to go do some weights, some sit-ups. I'm going to do 10 sit-ups and 10 push-ups. And that might be a lot for you. And once you've done that, like, you can leave and you can feel proud of yourself because you've created this goal and you've abided by it, and you start to build this trust with yourself. So yeah, that's all I can say. The main one, the overall one, is don't wait to feel like it. That will help you a lot. I also want you to kind of redefine success for that day. So say it's a day, because you might not even be at the beginning of your journey. You might have been going to the gym for years. You might be super fit, but we still deal with these things. Like, we still have these times where we go through lack of motivation. I guess you could kind of see this of like, can I redefine what success looks like for me today? And that might be what I just did the other day, where I went in and I stretched. And then after, I felt amazing and I did a little bit of weights, but it was a much smaller session than I normally would do. It's not my regular session, but I didn't hold myself to that because I trusted myself. I knew that I was tired. I knew that I was achy from the previous time because I've been truthful with myself over these last few years. I've been honest with myself, and I've built this trust around being able to truly know what my body needs. So I would say, take kind of a deep breath if you are walking home, you just passed the gym, and think, yeah, I am tired. What can I do? And also, you might be kidding yourself. You might not even be tired. A lot of the time we're sat on these kind of like at these desks and we think that we're tired, but all it is that we haven't moved for a few hours. We haven't let the blood flow around our bodies. Like, we have been kind of stagnant for most of the day. And that's what people don't realize if they don't work in an office job, is that can be exhausting in itself, and that can actually unmotivate you and make you a bit lazier. So I would just be truly honest to yourself. Go there and find out. Maybe you just need to do a little bit of cardio and your body will be fully replenished. So yeah. And I would also say, create ritual, not a result. So a lot of time we focus on the result. Like, maybe like, I want a 6-pack. I want to look good for this holiday. And how about if we just made a ritual? Like I say, I go to the gym 3 times a week. Obviously, it's good to have a goal that I want that 6-pack, but also maybe those 3 times a week when I go to the gym, that's a ritual, and I abide by that, unless there's like a emergency or there's truly something happening which I can't kind of, you can't help that, and that's okay. And sometimes also you will skip, and that's fine. But I mean, create that ritual and make it a ritual to show up with intention. So every time you open that laptop, every time you walk through the doors of that gym, you then are switched on, and you're like, okay, right now, I may have not been switched on in other part of my life, but right now I'm going to fully focus on this. I'm going to take time for myself. And that's beneficial. That'll keep your mind focused, and you'll feel great about that. One thing that I kind of brushed on earlier was the all or nothing trap. We need to let that drop. We need to get rid of that now, because I think from movies, from kind of influencers, from TV, we're kind of always seeing these massive things, these massive kind of actions that they do, or these massive kind of productions that they do. And we think like, oh, we need to have that huge thing. Or I need to go to a gym 3 times a week, 5 times a week. And if I miss it, then that's it over. And that is not the way to go. We have to think, yes, I'm human. I might miss a time at the gym. That's okay. I'll go back tomorrow, or I'll make up for it by going tomorrow. Or that's okay. I will go on the other designated day, which I put down for myself. And nothing's going to be perfect. You know what I mean? Your weeks are never going to look perfect. You might have an idea of what they look like. You might think, oh, I'm going to go to a gym on Wednesday. But what ends up happening is that you end up having to cancel that day because you're working, or you're realizing that you can't actually do that day because maybe your family are getting together or your friends want to meet, and that's okay. Let her have some leeway. That's perfectly okay. So yeah, just let go of the all or nothing trap. Do your best. You don't need to hit 100% effort every time. Like 20% effort still moves you forward. Like those 20% added together, they do add up. They really do. But I also believe that missing a day doesn't break the chain. Giving up does. And I think a lot of the time when we like skip a day, or we miss a day, or we have so much going on in that day, we tend to forget that we are human, and we tend to not have empathy for ourselves. And that is a real problem, because we are human, and sometimes you will miss a time, and it doesn't break it. You can go the next day to make up for it, or you can go when you're next supposed to go. But of course, you have to keep yourself to a certain kind of standard, but you are human. Be nice to yourself. Don't make yourself feel guilty just because you've missed a day. Like, one day isn't going to reset your progress. If you've been going to a gym for a month straight, well done. You're going to do amazing. Even if you miss a day or two, you're going to do amazing. But if you continually just quit just because, oh, well, I missed a day, oh, that's it down the drain, or you make yourself feel guilty because you did miss a day, nobody deserves that. One day off does not break the habit, but letting that one day define you, that's what breaks momentum. What would future me be glad I did? I think this is probably one of the frameworks that has really kept me on my toes and kept me from falling off the wagon if I've been doing something. It's because I think all of us, if we think of our future selves, we can kind of give more empathy to ourselves. Like if we're there and we're like, oh, well, I don't want to go to gym today because I'm just like, I feel like I just can't be bothered. Like I'm not motivated to go. But then you say, what would my future self? Okay, so my future self is going on holiday to Spain soon. He would be super happy if I just kept on going to the gym. And then once I got on holiday, I felt super confident about myself, and I've got even more trust in myself, and I'm able to turn off on that holiday and not have to go to a gym and just enjoy myself. And that's just really that one. If you hold that to a high level, I truly believe like that will give you such meaning in your life. And also, we have to think about this in another way too. It's like a different point of view that I've been thinking about also. So we know that obviously showing up builds momentum, but not showing up also builds momentum. So if I'm someone that meditates every morning, and then suddenly one day I just don't meditate, and obviously we're going to miss days, but then the next day I don't meditate because I feel guilty that I didn't meditate the day before that, or I kept something in my mind to make myself feel bad about that. And now I'm starting to continually miss days. Then that's going to build momentum. And before I know it, I'm probably going to not have that thing in my life, which was already giving me such kind of like fulfillment. Like for me, if I skipped meditating for a week, my mind would not feel as good. I'd not feel as clean. I'd feel uncomfortable. And that can happen with anything. That's how we fall out of these kind of habits. It's so easy. And I don't mean it's not like you've intentionally taken a day off, or you've said, okay, I'm going to take the day off because I want to go spend time with my friends, but I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. It's more like when you make yourself feel guilt, that's when these things are most likely to happen. So I think we kind of have to like spin it around and think about in a way when we do not follow maybe habits that are helping us, maybe we think about like, maybe this will affect my momentum tomorrow, or maybe we have to be really empathetic to ourselves and be like, yes, take today off. I trust you, Danny. Like, take today off. But tomorrow you're going to get back to it. And then tomorrow you wake up and you do get back to it. And you hold yourself to that standard, that person that you want to become. So yeah, I kind of like want to invite you to reflect on a few different questions. And also through this kind of video, if there was any things that you kind of found interesting, please let me know. And also just write them in your notes. That's one thing that I find really beneficial. If like there's a thought process maybe I haven't thought about, or there's something I want to remember for a time that maybe I'm having difficulty with motivation, or maybe having difficulty with patience, or having difficulty with pushing myself, I come back to my notes and I'm like, oh, this individual said this and this resonates with me. And that's where I think it would be beneficial for you to maybe add it to your notes, just to keep it like front of mind, because I know as humans, we can so easily just forget these things. We watch the video, we feel like we're being consistent, but then we don't put into application. We kind of take it in and then it leaves. So I think if you wrote these down or even transcript the episode, you would get a lot of kind of value from that. But we're going to kind of focus on some reflective questions which might help bring these kind of thoughts to the front of your mind. Where are you underestimating the power of just showing up? Where are you underestimating the power of just showing up? Because we all do it. We really do. And most things in life, if we think we're not going to get anywhere from doing small steps, we're underestimating the power of just showing up, because anything that you enjoy doing, anything that you're passionate about, or the big picture can be improved by just the small steps. I also think this is a valid question too, and it's, what's one thing you could return to even if you only gave it 10% today? And the last one I kind of want to get you to think about is, what identity are you reinforcing when you do something even when it's not impressive? Because I know for me, I gain tons of kind of trust in myself, and I just feel stronger if I do things that like don't like aren't super, like, how do you even word it? Something that doesn't give me tons of kind of satisfaction in the moment. If I do something that maybe I was fighting myself against, after I've done it, I'm like, whoa, you can do things that maybe you thought you couldn't. You can do things even when you're not wanting to do them. And that's a strength. That's a crazy strength in this day and age, because a lot of people don't want to do things that they don't want to do. Even if that thing can give them something they can gain value off that thing, they would still rather go the easier path. And the easier path can sometimes lead you to a worse life. And that is the truth. At the end of the day, momentum does not require motivation. It just requires presence. And that's something I just want to leave in your mind there. And I kind of just want to have a little gentle kind of outro for you. And I just kind of want to thank you for watching this video, because I know it's bumpy at the moment. It's up and down, and I don't have the skills that I need right now to be able to fully moment myself through these episodes. But that's why I'm showing up. These I could easily walk past this metaphorical like gym and just kind of ignore it and pretend like I don't need it. But for me, I truly do need this, because this is improving me. I can feel it. It's giving me a sense of trust for myself. And that's why I thank you guys so much for turning up, because this is going to grow, and I truly believe it will. And then with time, we'll have guests, and we will be bringing you even more value. And I really hope you kind of take that to heart. And anything from these videos which you disagree with, or maybe you agree with and you really like, just drop it down in the comments, because other people will kind of, they'll agree with you, or maybe they'll disagree with you. But this is how we grow, is by having these open conversations. But you won't remember every day you crushed it, but you will remember the days you almost gave up and didn't. So I just wanted to leave that with you. And I want to thank you for watching this video, and we will see you next time. See you later. Thank you very much.